After eons of tyranny, the demon god Adir was finally overthrown by humanity. Though fear of his terrible power endured. And so was formed the hallowed Sentinels, our duty being to stand vigil for signs of his return. Even exile to another realm could not silence the fallen god forever. And in time, Adir's malignant influence pervaded the world once more. In his hunger for vengeance, Adir orchestrated the return of his demonic army. Light was swallowed by shadow, and with it, hope. A new, grim champion arises. The Dark Crusader. And perhaps it will indeed come to pass that only they who shun the light in order to fight the darkness possess the power to defy a god.
shameful distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guide, shepherding them with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those three power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me, and waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their crazed followers butchered those who remained loyal to me. And when I created the Rogar as a means to put an end to the madness, we reach for the heathen forces. In the end, even I fell. The judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite their best efforts. In a world left blackened and corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Mankind set about ruling themselves, free from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, how will the time pass before the judges themselves are raised to the status of demigods? Figures of worship, their realization all too clear. Yet an outcome, the people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind has to shape their own destiny, see what they have made of it. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believed they were capable of guiding themselves. Sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me, or more than ever. The insistent hubris of humanity. Shameful distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guide, shepherding with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me, and waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their crazed followers butchered those who despite their best efforts. In a world with black and crusade, the judges banished me to this barren land, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about ruling themselves, free from the divine oppression which they accuse me of. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods, figures of worship, their real ambition all too clear. Yet an outcome, the people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, see what they have overtaken. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believe that they're capable of guiding themselves. Wrong and proven, sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me now more than ever. And what of other beings? Godhood, where are they? What of Aureus and the abhorrent umbral creature? They are cowards, hiding in foresight and obfuscating shadow. Deeming it their presence, their greed. And yet, here I stand before you with true words and open arms. For I love all of my children, even the wayward ones. Listen to me. You must stop this before you allow yourself to condemn all of mankind for eternity. I am not your enemy, only what my own enemies fear. The loss of dignity they have established for themselves in my absence. Cease your misguided violence. Now! The insistent hubris of humanity. Of God. Shameful distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guardian, shepherded with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those three power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me, and waged a terrible war of endless slaughter. Judges and their crazed followers butchered those who remained deluded. And when I created the Rogar as a means to put an end to the madness, they too were no match for the heathen forces. In the end, even despite the best efforts. In a world left blackened and corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about ruling themselves, free from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. Because of worship, their real ambition ought to the outcome, and people deluded themselves into believing in triumph. How much blood? Names since my vanishing. Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, see what they have made of it. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believed they were capable of guiding themselves, but have been proven sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me now more than ever. Of other genes who claim godhood, where are they? What of Orius and the abhorrent umbral creature? They are cowards, hiding in foresight and obfuscating shadow. Deeming you unworthy of their presence, their communion. And yet, here I stand before you with true words, open arms. For I love all of my children, even the wayward ones. Listen to me. You must stop this before you allow yourself to condemn all of mankind for eternity. I am not your enemies. Only what my enemies feel. The loss of the living they have established for themselves in your absence. Cease your misguided violence. Now. The presence of a god. Your god. I formed you from nothing and can just as easily the insistent hubris of humanity. Shameful distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guardian, with wisdom and love. Yet in return, betrayed. Power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me and waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their crazed followers butchered those who remained loyal to me. And when I created the law, as a means to put an end to the madness, they too were no match for the heathen forces. In the end, even I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite their best efforts. And corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this valley, which has served as my prison ever since. Mankind set out ruling themselves from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. Because of worship, their real ambition all too clear. Its outcome, the people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, see what they have made of it. Greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believe they were capable of guiding themselves, but sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me now more than ever. And what of other beings who claim godhood? Where are they? What of obvious and the important creature? They are cowards, hiding in false light and obfuscating shadow, deeming you unworthy of their presence, their communion. And yet, here I stand before you with true words and open arms. For I love all of my children. Listen to me. You must stop this before you allow yourself to condemn all of mankind for eternity. I am not your enemy, only what my own enemies fear. Loss of the dominion they have established for themselves in my absence. Cease your misguided violence. Now. You are in the presence of a god-human. Your god. I formed from nothing and can just as easily destroy you. Yet you would dare defy the insistent hubris of humanity. children against me, which had waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their crazed followers butchered those who remained loyal to me. And when I created the Modo as a means to put an end to the madness, they too were no match for the heathen forces. In the end, even I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite their best efforts. In a world blackened and corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about ruling themselves, free from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. Because worship, their real ambition, ordered. But an outcome, people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, they have made of it war, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. And they were capable of guiding themselves, but have been proven sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me now more than ever. And what of other beings who claim godhood? Where are they? What of Orius and the abominable unknown creature? They were cowards, hiding in foresight and obfuscating shadow, deeming you unworthy of their presence, their gods. And yet here I stand before you with true words and open arms. For I love all of my children, wayward ones. Listen to me. You must stop this. Thou must condemn all of mankind from eternity. I am not your enemy, only what my own enemies fear. The loss of the dominion they have established for themselves. The insistent hubris of humanity. distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guardian, shepherding them with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those true power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me and waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their greatest followers chose only loyalty. And when I created the Rogar, just as a means to put an end to the madness, the two were no match for the heathen forces. In the end, even I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill me, despite their best efforts. Blackened and corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about themselves, free from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. Because of worship, their real ambition all too clear. Yet an outcome who deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever the resistant hubris of humanity. Shameful distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guardian, shepherding them with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those three power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned my own children against me and waged a terrible war of needless slaughter. The judges and their highest followers butchered those who remained loyal to me. Just like when I created the Rogar, as a means to put an end to the madness. They too were no match for the heathen forces. Even I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite their best efforts. In a world blackened and corpse-choked by their crusade, the judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about ruling themselves, from the divine oppression of which they accused me. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. figures of worship, their real ambition all too clear. Yet an outcome, the people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their destiny, see what they have made of it. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believed they were capable of guiding themselves. Sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me, now more than ever. The insistent hubris of humanity. Distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guardian, shackeling them with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those three power-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges dubbed my own children against me. They waged a terrible war of ruthless slaughter. The judges, their crazed followers, butchered those who remained loyal to me. And when I created the Rogar as a means to put an end to the madness, they too were no match for the heathen forces. In the end, even I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite their best efforts. Crusade. The judges banished me to this barren realm, which has served as my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind set about the researchers, free from the divine oppression which they accused me. And yet, how little time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods. Figures of worship, their real ambition all too clear. Yet an outcome, the people deluded themselves into believing a triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more than was ever spilled in my name. After all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, see what they have made of it. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believed they were capable of hands. You are in the presence of a god, you know. Your god. I formed you from nothing and could just as easily destroy you. Yet you will dare defy my will. The world in which you exist is my world, my home, and yet mankind, the insistent hubris of humanity. Distortions of the truth. For eons, I stood as mankind's guide, shepherding them with wisdom and love. Yet in return, I was betrayed. Those three trouble-hungry malefactors who declared themselves judges turned their own children against me and waged a tangible war through needless slaughter. The judges and their crazed friends butchered those who remained devout to me. And when I created the roadblock as a means to put an end to the madness, they too were no match for the evil forces. In the end, I fell. Although the judges found themselves unable to kill a god, despite my prison ever since. Meanwhile, mankind have set out themselves, free from the divine oppression of which they accuse me. And yet, how long time passed before the judges themselves were raised to the status of demigods? Because of worship, their real ambitions all too clear. But an outcome repeated themselves in triumph. How much blood has been spilled in their names since my banishment? Far more blood was ever spilled in my name. And now, after all the time mankind have had to shape their own destiny, see what they have made of it. War, greed, hatred, suffering, chaos. They believed they were capable of guiding themselves, but have been proven sorely mistaken. Mankind needs me now more than ever. And what of other beings who claim godhood? Where are they? What of us and the abhorrent umbral creature? They are cowards, hiding in foresight and obfuscating shadow, deeming you unworthy of their presence, their communion. And yet, here I stand before you with true words and open arms. For I love all my children, even the wayward ones. You must stop this before you allow yourself to condemn all of mankind for eternity. I am not your enemy, only what my own enemies are. The loss of the dominion they have established for persistent hubris of humanity, your misery.